10 towns right outside of Asheville, North Carolina, where people actually end up moving to is what I'm going to be covering in this video. Some of them are in super close proximity to Asheville, some of them a little bit farther, but I will share everything that you need to know to make the most informed decision when it comes to moving to the Asheville area. Weaverville is one of the closest towns to Asheville, North Carolina. It is located just north, about 15 minutes north on I-26. And according to niche.com, it offers residents suburban rural mix feel. And I have to agree with this. Weaverville has a small downtown, kind of main street, kind of downtown where you can find a lot of local stores, some galleries, restaurants, coffee shops, banks, vet offices, and this is where they have some festivals during summertime and fall and sometimes even during winter time. Last winter we had Christmas parade here and we participated with my kids. But median sales price in Weaverville is about $520,000, so very close to Asheville. But here in Weaverville, you'll find that you can get a little bit more for your money, a little bit more elbow room. And while Weaverville does have, quite a few bigger box stores like Lowe's and Walmart, Ingles grocery store is just down the street. The main hub for people who live in Weaverville, I would say, is still Asheville, because it's just, a stone's throw away from here in Weaverville. Those who live in Weaverville also have very quick access to Blue Ridge Parkway, a lot of trails, access to all the great outdoors that Asheville and greater Asheville area has to offer. Population of Weaverville is right under 5,000 people, so it really is a small town right next to Asheville.
Hey, I'm ℂ𝕁𝕁. I'm the owner of ℂ𝕁𝕁 Pottery along with my wife. We've been here since '97.
Wow, it's been a while. So
yeah.
You live here, you have a gallery, and you live in Weaverville?
Yeah, we just live a couple blocks from here.
What is it like to live here?
Oh, Weaverville is such a cozy town to live in.
What's the top pro and top con of living in Weaverville?
Well, I mean, the top pro is that it's a small town. It has a nice small town vibe, and we have a lot to do right here in town, and living here, walking distance, it's just wonderful to be able to just kind of like stay here and do everything here.
Yeah.
A con, I guess a lot of people would say one of the top cons is that Weaverville has become so popular. It's grown a lot, and a lot of people, hate that it's changed so much. However, for me, and as a Main Street business owner, that's actually been a pretty good thing.
It's good, yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Few more minutes down the road from Weaverville, 24 minutes from Asheville, North Carolina, just north on I-26, you will find one of the most beautiful, picturesque towns in western North Carolina that is located in Madison County, and that is Marshall, North Carolina. Downtown Marshall is located along the banks of French Broad River, and that's what made it so beautiful and picturesque. It's one of the most beautiful downtowns here in the area, but unfortunately, after Hurricane Helene, that was basically what destroyed and damaged most of downtown Marshall. Marshall, North Carolina is really a tiny town with population of around 1,000 people. Median sales price right here is in the mid 400s. And even though it's small population-wise, outside of downtown, where, like I said, that was severely damaged by the hurricane and flooding, the rest of Marshall is pretty spread out, which is very typical for all the areas here and for all other towns that I'm going to be covering in this video. And again, downtown was damaged, but the rest of Marshall didn't have as much damage from the flooding itself. Of course, down trees and all that kind of stuff was everywhere, including Marshall. In historic downtown Marshall, that's right behind me, you'll find historic county courthouse, multiple stores, restaurants that are cooking with farm-to-table produce from local farms, tons of galleries. In fact, Marshall became, kind of a second, smaller and more affordable hub for a ton of artists that, maybe couldn't afford to be in Asheville or for whatever reason decided to get established here in Marshall, North Carolina. Marshall High Studios is an artist community, a historical sanctuary on an island in the French Broad River that houses over 30 creators, makers, and entrepreneurs. And it's been a cornerstone of town's culture. And of course, everything that's been here in downtown Marshall, including those artists and including those studios, were severely damaged, destroyed, and the road to recovery is still very much in front of them. There are ways to help, contribute, donate, volunteer. I'm going to put a link down in the description for those who are interested in visiting and helping support rebuild Marshall, North Carolina. If you want Asheville climate, but a lot quieter, more laid-back lifestyle, then this next town might be the right fit for you. The town of Mars Hill, that is also located in Madison County, and unlike its neighbor Marshall, was minimally impacted by the hurricane in September of 2024. In fact, it was one of those towns that got up pretty quickly, got its power and water restored fairly quickly, and so it is just about 20 minutes north of Asheville. Population of Mars Hill is right around 3,000 people, and median sales price is in the lower 400. So it's a lot more affordable place to live, and also has a small downtown that has a few local restaurants, coffee shops, a theater company, as well as university that makes the town a lot more lively, especially during the school year. Right outside of downtown Mars Hill, you'll find more of a rural countryside setting with lots of rolling hills, farms, cows, as well as multi-million-dollar properties, and more of traditional communities with newer homes that sit on smaller lots, again smaller but more affordable properties right here. Mars Hill is also surrounded by outdoors, so there's hiking and walking paths and trails and parks. Those who live in Mars Hill have a few stores right here in town. Ingles grocery store, there's a few auto shops and mechanic shops and pharmacies. But for bigger stores, people who live in Mars Hill would have to go to either Weaverville. Weaverville will be the closest town just south from here on I-26 for things like Walmart, Lowe's, or all the way to Asheville, which again is about 20 minutes south from here. Mars Hill is also where we have the second ski resort located in Western North Carolina. Hadley Point is the newest ski resort. Well, originally it used to be Wolf Laurel Ski Resort, but a couple years back, new owners bought it, renovated it, and now it's basically a brand new ski resort right here, about 20 minutes from downtown Mars Hill. About 40-50 minutes northeast of Asheville lies a beautiful town of Burnsville in Yancey County. And boy, can Burnsville be more different than Asheville in some ways. In some other ways, it's very similar. Burnsville has a very nice, cute, small town type of downtown right here in the middle where I am, with this square and like a little park here in the middle where a lot of events are happening. community events. Population of Burnsville is a little over 2,100, so it's very small, and everything and everyone are spread across mountain peaks and hollers. Even though median sales price here in Burnsville right now is about $330,000, Burnsville offers a lot of properties that are in a higher end or higher price point. In fact, one of the kind of over-the-top communities, Mountain Air, is located right here in Burnsville. That community, it has every possible amenity, including its own runway. Stay tuned for that. I'm gonna tell you more in upcoming videos about that community. But Burnsville also offers more, of course, laid back, quiet, and a lot more conservative lifestyle. And to give you a little bit of perspective about that, I heard from people who live here in the area, in Yancey County, Burnsville, that they would rather go to Johnson City, Tennessee for shopping rather than mess with Asheville. Burnsville is kind of equal distance between Johnson City, Tennessee and Asheville, where all bigger box stores are located and more shopping and dining and all that. But again, people who live here prefer to a lot of times, go to Tennessee rather than Asheville. So Burnsville and Yancey County are located in the very mountainous part of Western North Carolina. For reference, Mount Mitchell, that is just right next door to Burnsville, is the tallest peak east of Mississippi River. So to give you a perspective, and a lot of those mountain peaks and hollers and a lot of streams and creeks that are located right here and run through, in between the mountains, caused a lot of damage last September when the hurricane hit our mountains. And so Burnsville, Yancey County in general, and some other surrounding counties were hit very, very hard. A lot of properties here have, either little bridges or streams and creeks run through them or on the way to the property. So a lot of those bridges and driveways and roads, access points were destroyed, washed away here in Yancey County. But the strong sense of community here in Yancey County is what, kind of pulls everyone up on their feet. I know people here, people who live here, along with local government, are the ones who've been, being boots on the ground and helping their community get up, get help, rebuild, and not be left on the streets. And we crossed another county line now that we are in McDowell County and in Marion, North Carolina. Marion, North Carolina, well, the slogan here says where the main street meets the mountains. I feel like I heard this slogan in the description of another town. I would add to this where Main Street meets the mountains, waterfalls, hiking trails, and lakes. 40 minutes east of Asheville, Marion, North Carolina is the biggest town in McDowell County and is definitely a hub of its own. Marion is super self-sufficient. It has pretty much everything that Asheville or Hendersonville has, just in less quantities. They have their own hospital, which is part of Mission Hospital system, but it's right here. Urgent care is there. ER. I actually used to do my clinicals when I went to AB Tech for my 2-year degree. I was doing my clinicals here in Marion. Population of Marion is right around 9,000 people, so it's much bigger than Burnsville or Marshall, Mars Hill. And people who live on this side of the mountain, so to speak, from Asheville, pretty much stay here. They like to stay here, and like I said, it's super self-sufficient. There's really little to no reason to go to Asheville or to the Asheville side. What's great about Marion, like I said, it's surrounded not just mountains. The main street meets not just the mountains, but waterfalls, lake, It is a paradise for those who love outdoor activities, who love a little more laid back, quiet lifestyle than, Asheville has. Definitely less woo-woo than Asheville, more traditional, lifestyle. Right now, median sales price is in the upper 200s, and it sounds unbelievable considering the prices in Asheville and some other surrounding towns. And of course, you will get more for your money here in Marion than you would in Buncombe County or right around Asheville, as well as all the access to all the great outdoors. Catawba Falls and a bunch of other waterfalls are in close proximity. Blue Ridge Parkway is also in close proximity. One of the biggest attractions here in McDowell County is, of course, Lake James. It's a pretty big lake located right outside of Marion. I believe part of Marion does touch the lake a little bit, but it's a great attraction not just for locals but for visitors too. We go to the public beach sometimes with kids, and you can go kayaking and swimming and boating. There's a bunch of houses on the lake, so you can, if you choose to, you can actually live right there on the lake. I covered that lake in one of my previous videos. I'm gonna link it up here and also put it in the description, but Lake James is right next door. Huge cycling community is also in this vicinity. Old Fort is a small town right next door, 10-15 minutes right outside of Marion. I covered it in another video. I'm gonna link it also up here and in the description. And it has, an abundance of all kinds of trails for hiking, mountain biking, and a lot of ways to, to be outdoors and be active. By the way, if you are thinking about buying, selling, or investing in the Asheville area, our team and I would be honored to be your real estate experts of choice. Our contact information is down in the description. Just under 9,000 people live in this quaint town just east of Asheville, about 20 minutes east of Asheville. Spectacular views have been welcoming Black Mountain residents and visitors for over 125 years. Here you can walk through town or along tree-lined residential streets and stroll through the numerous gift shops, galleries, restaurants, and stores. Right here in downtown Black Mountain, you can step from the quaint shops, prosperous businesses, and friendly neighborhoods into the great outdoors that serves as a centerpiece for a visual feast and continues to draw so many to this lovely valley. Super close proximity to Asheville and everything that Asheville has to offer, all the amenities. Black Mountain has been a favorite for many different reasons. Median sales price right here is $527,000, so very close to Asheville. And in my experience, Black Mountain had always had a higher median sales price. And if you're thinking just because you're moving or looking into this smaller town, you will get more for your money, not so much here in Black Mountain. If you decide to move to Black Mountain, you can choose from living somewhere close to downtown and in a walking distance to downtown. Some of the neighborhoods, including places like Villages of Cheshire, the Settings, it's a gated community. The Settings did have a pretty big mudslide during the hurricane, but the rest of the community sits pretty much on the side of the mountain, and a lot of homes offer spectacular views of the mountains. Quite a few communities are located in the close proximity and vicinity right around Lake Tomahawk, that is also located right here in Black Mountain. And so you have a lot of different options when it comes to living in Black Mountain. Now, as far as amenities, there's not a whole lot that you will find right here outside of downtown, where you have, restaurants and breweries and coffee shops and all that. For shopping, you can also choose to go to local grocery store. Ingles grocery store is right outside of downtown. For anything bigger, you would need to go to Asheville. So places like Target, Lowe's, Walmart, you would need to go to Asheville, which again is about 20 minutes. 34 miles, almost an hour drive southeast of Asheville is where you will find this next very small town that is a hub of its own. Rutherfodton is located in Rutherford County, and locals call it Rutherfodton. And it's got population of less than 4,000 people. It is super quaint, super calm, super laid back. It's got its own downtown that kind of reminds me of the downtown of Marion. But every time I come here, it's so much quieter here. I see there's a lot of cars that are parked on the streets and people are, going into businesses, but it is so quiet and just so laid back here. This small, charming and quiet downtown is one of the oldest towns in western North Carolina. It is located 16 miles east of Lake Lure, which is another bigger town in Rutherford County, but I'm not including it in this video because Lake Lure is kind of sort of, I don't want to say off limits, but it had so much damage from the hurricane that the lake itself is probably going to be closed off for the whole upcoming season. And so we're going to focus on Rutherfodton. You will notice that here the distances become bigger. So it's an hour away from Asheville. It's about 45 minutes away from Marion. It is 30 minutes or 25 minutes from Lake Lure. And people who choose to live here, to live in those smaller towns farther from Asheville, come here, of course, for more laid back and quiet lifestyle, but also for a lot more elbow room. So you'll notice a lot of farms, a lot of farmland, a lot of properties that are just sitting on quite a bit of acreage. Median sales price in Rutherfodton is right now is $300,000. So you'll see it's almost half of what you can get in Asheville. And again, you getting a lot more for your money here. Rutherfodton's picturesque Main Street is filled with interesting local businesses to explore, including a very cool and pretty nice Kid Senses Children's Interactive Museum. If you want to enjoy the outdoors, the Thermal Belt Rail Trail is a 13.5 paved path for biking, jogging, and walking. It is connecting the towns of Rutherfodton, Spindale, and Forest City with plenty to see along the way. And notice how I said Thermal Belt Trail. Rutherfodton and Rutherford County are located along that thermal or isothermal belt, which means that the growing season here is going to be longer. It's going to be a little bit warmer, just a tad warmer than, climate in Asheville. So keep that in mind. Again, compared to places like Florida, it is still much, much cooler here. The second largest town in the whole western North Carolina, Asheville's prettiest sister, Hendersonville, with population of about 15,000 people, is located about 30 minutes south from downtown Asheville. So Hendersonville is located in Henderson County, completely different county, and it would be the hub for all other smaller towns and villages in Henderson County. Hendersonville has a very nice Main Street kind of downtown, is where I am located right now, with a ton of local businesses that line the streets of downtown Hendersonville. Lots of local stores, places to go eat, great restaurants, coffee shops, places for kids like gem mining place and store, children's museum. Everything is right here in downtown Hendersonville. So it is a centerpiece of Hendersonville, and outside of downtown, you'll find that Hendersonville, as well as pretty much the whole Henderson County, made up of a lot of farms. Henderson County as a whole is also known as apple country, so you'll see a lot of apple orchards, a lot of farms, as well as a lot of traditional communities. And a lot of those communities would be gated, a lot of them are not. A lot of those communities would be 55 plus communities. In fact, most of 55 plus communities in our area will be in Hendersonville. We don't have a lot of retirement or 55 plus communities in Asheville itself, so most of them would be here in Hendersonville. And because of that, and just by walking down the streets in downtown Hendersonville, There's a perception and an impression that Hendersonville is like a big retirement community, which is not entirely true. People of all ages, of all kinds of family structures, beliefs, walks of life, interests live here in Hendersonville. Median sales price here in Hendersonville is right around $450,000, so a little bit, quite a bit more affordable than Asheville. But again, I think it's because some of those areas that are not traditional gated communities offer a lot more affordable lifestyle and properties, and they are pulling that overall price kind of down. But if you look at some of those gated communities that are more upscale, you'll see that prices there are, pretty high, just like in Asheville. If you live in Hendersonville, you would have absolutely everything you would need, pretty much everything that Asheville has to offer. They have their own hospital right here in Hendersonville, Part D Hospital. They have Sam's Club, they have Walmart, Lowe's, all kinds of stores, all kinds of amenities would be right here. So Hendersonville has everything that Asheville has in just less quantities. Lifestyle-wise, well, for that you would have to stay tuned for my upcoming video, Asheville versus Hendersonville. So I'll just leave it at that. 24 miles, almost an hour drive in the southwest direction from Asheville, North Carolina, lies another very small but super charming town called Brevard. Brevard is located in Transylvania County, not that Transylvania, and has a population of about right under 8,000 people. Median sales price right here in Brevard is in the lower 500s, so very close to Asheville. Not a lot more affordable than Asheville, but it is definitely a lot smaller. And what you would need to know specifically about this area is the fact that Brevard has average precipitation, annual precipitation of about 64 inches, and some other parts of Transylvania County have up to 100 inches of annual precipitation, which is why Transylvania County and Brevard specifically are known as the land of waterfalls. There are over 250 waterfalls, and it is a paradise for those who love outdoors, because Brevard is right in the middle of DuPont State Park and Pisgah National Forest, with tons and tons of trails for biking, hiking, and of course those who love to chase waterfalls. Besides outdoor lovers, Brevard has a huge cyclist community. So if you are into mountain biking or road cycling, this might be a perfect place for you. There's also a rich cultural scene in the county. World-renowned Brevard Music Center, Brevard Philharmonic, Brevard Little Theater, Brevard Community Band, Paul Porter Center for Performing Arts at Brevard College, Transylvania Choral Society, Transylvania Community Arts Council, and more. When you come to Brevard, when you visit Brevard, you can go to downtown and check it out. Just like many other downtowns in western North Carolina, it consists mostly of local businesses, little stores, shops, restaurants, bakeries, ice cream shops. There's a very nice toy store for kids and adults. Also, if you decide to move here, there's a lot of communities, a lot of traditional communities. Some of them are gated, some of them are very established, some of them are newer, and a lot of them have lakes or some kind of water features, again because of all the rain that this area gets. Brevard is also known to be a home for white squirrels, and you will see white squirrels everywhere, especially here in downtown. They are up on street lights, they're everywhere. It's a symbol of Brevard. They even have White Squirrel Festival, annual festival here in downtown. So if you have any more questions about this or any other towns, reach out to me and my team. Our contact information is down in the description. By the way, we are about to cover the 10th town here in western North Carolina, right around Asheville. It's a lot. We did not cover them in one day, and if you are coming to explore all these towns, I do not recommend you drive or attempt to visit them all in one day. If you need help figuring out what would be the best way to explore all these towns on several different days, reach out to me and my team. We'll be happy to come up with a personalized itinerary for you so that you can make the most out of your visit and visit all those beautiful towns. About 10,000 people live in this beautiful town, just about 30 minutes west of Asheville, Waynesville, North Carolina. Waynesville, North Carolina is located in Haywood County, and unlike some other parts of western North Carolina and towns that I covered in this video, including Asheville, where like ℂ and Rutherfodton are in the thermal belt and a slightly lower elevation, Waynesville and the whole Haywood County are in a little bit higher elevation compared to other parts. Waynesville itself sits at about 2,700 feet above sea level compared to Asheville, that's about 22. And there's a ton of communities, mountain communities here in Waynesville and the whole Haywood County that sit well above 3,000 feet above sea level. Median sales price right here in Waynesville is about $424,000 or $25,000 in May of 2025. So it's definitely a lot more affordable than Asheville or Buncombe County. And Waynesville, just like some other towns like Asheville or Burnsville or Rutherfordton, is a hub of its own. People who live in Waynesville have everything that they would need right here. They would not need to go anywhere else. You have the downtown with Main Street as a centerpiece that a lot of local community events happen. They have Apple Festival here every year, just like Hendersonville has their Apple Festival. Waynesville has their own, as well as a lot of other festivals and events. All the shopping and dining can happen right here in downtown, as well as they have regular stores like Lowe's and Walmart and stuff like that right outside of downtown. So you would not need to go pretty much anywhere if you live in Waynesville. There's quite a few established communities that are located in the very close vicinity to downtown Waynesville. In fact, one of our clients moved to Waynesville who previously looked at Asheville and wanted to be in Asheville, but ended up here in Waynesville in a very short distance to downtown, as well as a bunch of other communities that are kind of up in the mountains. Some of them are gated, some of them, upscale, more higher end type of communities with amazing views of the mountains, as well as properties that are not in the communities but have a little bit more elbow room, lots of farms, pastures and farms, and large and taller mountains in the background. And Haywood County in general is probably one of the most beautiful counties and parts of western North Carolina. Outdoors theme continues throughout the whole Haywood County as well, and Haywood County in North Carolina is a home to the largest portion of Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Haywood County sits at the western edge of the state, with Blue Ridge Parkway running along its southwestern border. And it is proud to be home of the national park's most renowned residents like the elk of ℍ𝕬𝕉𝔻 Valley. In addition to its antlered friends, they have some of the best fishing spots along the mountain heritage trout water. Another place that is super popular with locals as well as tourists and people who, like us, who live in Asheville, we like to come to, well, it's not in Waynesville, but in Haywood County, right outside of Waynesville. ℍ𝕬𝕉𝔻 Ski Resort is in a very close proximity, and that's where we choose to go to snowboard, or if you are a skier, you can go ski there, tube, and have all the fun all year round. And that's a wrap. We covered 10 towns right around Asheville that might be the perfect fit for you and your family if you're thinking of relocating to the Asheville area. If you have any questions, any additional questions about any of those towns, or maybe I didn't cover anything, do not hesitate to reach out. Our contact information is down in the description, and I'll catch you on the next one.